Welcome to BullsEYE. Derek Sharp is traveling with baseball. Kaylee Cottrell is under the weather. So Kaylee, we hope you're feeling better soon and back with us very quickly. We've still got Joey Johnston with us though, so that's the good news. And we've got a lot to talk about this week because it's been another landmark week at USF Athletics. So we got to begin with men's basketball. Top 25 ranking. Once upon a time when we was young, we covered this team in the late 80s, early 90s, and they got that close.
Yep.
And they didn't get there in the top 25. Now here they are.
Amazing. Back in 1991, USF beat Iowa at home here, a great win over a really good Hawkeyes team. We go to Cincinnati on New Year's Eve for an ESPN game back when that was a big deal, being on ESPN. Lost to a Bearcats team that ended up in the Final Four. But I remember thinking, boy, you know, not this week, but 1 week soon, this team will be ranked. It didn't happen. Here we are all these years later. It finally happens. What a milestone for a team that really, really deserves it.
And it happened in such dramatic fashion, too. Back-to-back sellouts at the Yuengling Center, 10,000 plus both times. For a lot of Bulls fans who may have been invested in this team for many, many years, they had never seen that, and maybe more importantly, they had never heard that. They had never heard how loud that building gets.
It's just amazing. I mean, March Madness and the drive to a tournament is about as exciting as anything you get in sports to me. And when you're part of it like that, when it comes to your town, it's really special. And I found myself just looking around at all the people high up in the arena and hearing the sounds and just kind of taking it in before doing the games. It was really special for the people that have been around here a long time. This is really something to see and really something to enjoy.
And if we were doing that, imagine what the players and the coaches thought walking into that building. What a testament to the coaches and the players to keep their focus in a situation like that. If you're ever going to lose your head, that's probably a time to do it.
Yeah, no, that just is in keeping with this basketball team. They're very composed. They come from way behind. They played from way ahead and held the lead. They have been up for every task that you can possibly ask of a basketball team, and they have passed every test with flying colors. I mean, it really is amazing, and it's like we have now reached the point where you can be as skeptical as you want to be, but you cannot deny what this team has done, and all the national pundits have fallen in line. So if USF keeps winning, the sky's the limit. We can do anything this team is capable of doing. The doors are open, and now we're on the map.
A chance for a conference championship now, a trip to Charlotte. Bulls and 49ers had a great battle earlier in the season. If the Bulls can get a win, that 3-game lead doesn't even matter anymore because they've clinched. And then also a big home game coming up first week of March against Tulane. Senior night, and the last time, presumably, this year to see the Bulls at home.
Fans, listen to this. I mean, this is your last chance, presumably, to see this team at home. What an occasion it has been the last 2 nights out with sellout crowds. I wouldn't be left out of this if I were you, if you like basketball. Here's your shot to see a really good Tulane team in senior night and send this team off into March. It will be March by the time we play Tulane, in fact. So can we get a third straight sellout? I hope so. I think it's possible. I wouldn't have said that a month ago, but anything's possible now.
You cover this team on radio with our friend Jim Lighthall, so you've seen every game. You've seen this develop. So a simple question, how are they doing it?
The coach is excellent. Coach Amir Abdur-Rahim, he's among the best I've ever seen. And I say that in the context of I remember what it was like in November. I saw some things happen there that maybe I didn't quite understand, but I do now. He's wonderful at dealing with all sorts of people, including his players, at knowing how to push their buttons and how to get them motivated. And he's a heck of an in-game coach. There was a game at UTSA last week where the Bulls did not play very well all night, but we scratched our way back in the game. We cut it to 3, or we got a layup to cut it to 1 from 3, timeout. He changed his defense to a 1-3-1 trap. We got a deflection, a steal, and a layup, and they were not ready for that. And I saw this like unfolding before my eyes. I just thought, wow, That was spectacular. Now that's a very small slice of something in a game that people will forget, but I will never forget like how he just kind of said, you know what, time to win this game, and he did what was necessary. It was really impressive.
Well, men's basketball has been a big story, but there is a lot going on elsewhere in USF athletics, including a conference championship. We're going to give you an inside look at this later in the show, but we got to give a shout out to men's indoor track and field bringing home the gold.
Yep, Coach Eric Jenkins, since he has been hired, it's obvious that he is building a program that's going to last, and he is an impressive guy, and his ability to bring in talent and to motivate them and to get them to win track meets. And they have improved steadily since he has been here, and now it has paid off with an indoor championship. And the Bulls are certainly a contender to win the outdoor championship. Great things are happening all around this campus, but do not sleep on the track and field team. This is a conference power that's going to make some noise nationally, I think.
Stay with us. We've got a lot more coming up in this edition of BullsEYE. A lot of women's basketball. Ariel Wilson, senior guard, will join us. And when we come back, we'll visit with the head coach, Jose Fernandez. Glad to have you with us this week on BullsEYE. Welcome back to BullsEYE. Jim Louk, Joey Johnston with you. Derek Sharp is traveling with baseball this week. Kaylee Cottrell, we're sorry to say, is under the weather, but they will both be back soon. In the meantime, we are glad to visit with head coach Jose Fernandez. Coach, thanks. I know this time of year in particular, time is hard to block out. We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Jim. Good to be here.
Long season, coming right down to it now with the conference tournament around the corner. You've got a big home game coming up on March 2nd, senior night. And this team looking forward to a very interesting conference tournament with a lot of teams kind of jumbled up with similar records.
Yeah, got 2 games left with Tulane at home, and then a quick turnaround against SMU. Then we'll get back and be ready to head back to Dallas-Fort Worth for the conference tournament. So the biggest thing is finishing out the regular season on a good note. Playing good basketball in these last 2 remaining regular season games to get us ready for Fort Worth, whether we got to win 3 in 3 days or 4 in 4 days. So that's the biggest thing now, using this bye week to get ready for the late regular season push.
Coach, you became the head coach here in 2000, and I'm no math guy, but I think that means that's 24 years ago. So you've seen everything here, but one thing with all your success in recent seasons has been the way you brought these players in from all over the country, all over the world, internationally. You're one of the foremost international recruiters in women's basketball. And at some point, I know you had to develop that as a strategy and used to great success. What was behind kind of your philosophy of starting this, and how you've been able to kind of maintain it like you have through these years?
I think we delved into it really hard in the American Conference. Once we left the Big East, which I thought was the best basketball league in the country, you had 8, 9 teams going to the NCAA tournament, the next 4 or 5 going to the NIT. When we were making that switch in the American, remember, that first year we still had Louisville and Rutgers. In the first year of the American, I believe we were in the semifinals of the NIT, lost to Rutgers in the semifinal game. And Louisville and Connecticut made it to the Final Four that first year of the American. We needed to get creative. We knew the conference realignment was going to hurt us in the recruiting. The American wasn't going to be as strong as the Big East, and to attract the top 50, top 100 kids we were getting, and we were able to recruit while we were in the Big East. So that in turn took us internationally, right? Because it wasn't an area where a lot of people were doing it, but now everybody's doing it. So the only thing that's helping us now is the success of our international players that they've had here, getting drafted and also playing overseas. But now the component that has changed the landscape of recruiting all over the country, especially in the three major sports, in men's and women's basketball and football, is the NIL space. Now we're dealing with the NIL space. And the international players are being compensated. You know, there's different rules as far as how they can get compensated and while they're here and while they're not here. But that is the next obstacle now for us, how to navigate the NIL space.
Game has changed a lot, college athletics. You have had a long tenure here, as Joey mentioned, 24 years. You've seen some things here at USF Athletics. We were talking off camera a little while ago about the upswing in USF Athletics, with football finding its footing, men's basketball having a landmark year, the track and field championship. As you watch this and your program continues to grow and excel as well, how do you come up with the answer for the department's steps forward recently? What's been the key to the success of this program in general?
Well, I think there's unbelievable synergy between President Law, the Board of Trustees, right, and Will Weatherford and Mike Griffin. Oh, that just lets you know how long I've been here and how old I am.
Mike was a student, right?
That Mike was a student. He was the president, and he was camping out with the vice president, Dave Mintzberg, right? So it is great to see his success in the business world and how passionate he is about USF Athletics. So I think I've never seen the amount of synergy with the athletic director, the president, and then the board of trustees and the president and the vice president, and their support for USF Athletics. I think, you know, the football dynamic with the indoor practice facility has definitely changed the landscape of the athletic district. And now with the plans of a football stadium and what's going to happen with our old golf course and the plans there, it's truly amazing. And then now you have one of the best stories in the entire country with what USF basketball is doing, and Amir and his staff and his players. I was here 2001 when we played the Florida Gators, and that was a sellout. I can't believe when I open up social media, which I've stayed out of this year, I've been on my best behavior for a long time, that Amir's not in every conversation as a National Coach of the Year candidate. Because I've worked with 6, 7 men's basketball coaches since I've been here. So what he's done in a short amount of time, changing the culture, and again, he brought 3 really good players with him, 2 of them on the floor, but the exciting freshman, the junior college transfer, the transformation of Selton Miguel's game. So I think there's a lot of really, really good positives, great positives. I think the job that Lee Butler has done overseeing men's and women's basketball and the support that he has given both programs, the SoFlo Rodeo, changing the atmosphere of the Yingling Center, right? So it's a really, really neat story. As you know, there's going to be realignment again at some point or another. And the success of your football program and your men's basketball program, that goes hand in hand. You know, I talk about it all the time. You know, Connecticut men's basketball and Connecticut women's basketball both won a national championship, and they're still in the Big East. You know, why? Because their football program, if it was probably stronger, and they're probably in a different national media market, right, then the realignment on their case is probably different. We're in the Tampa Bay media market, which is an incredible selling point, right? And now when your 2 sports, your 2 revenue-generating sports are doing so well, that's something that you sell. Now, Olympic sports, right? the success there. What Michael Kelly has done with our cost of attendance, with the Bulls Plus academic money, yeah, I think nobody in our league probably supports our Olympic sports like we support them here, right? And summer school and tutoring and strength and conditioning and sports medicine and the way that we travel in the locker rooms, that leads into recruiting. And if you do a great job recruiting, then you do a great job with player development, sets you up for success in all courts and fields. So that's what you're seeing now.
Jose, another thing I know you would have a great perspective on in your time is just the growth of your sport of women's basketball during your tenure. We look at it now, we see Caitlin Clark, the mania surrounding her, the interest, the television has grown. At the end of next season, Tampa Bay will host its 4th Women's Final Four. This sport is exploding all over the country, certainly in our state too, and it's become a destination point for a lot of fans. So what would you say about just what you have seen in your time about how your sport has gone from wherever it was in 2000 to the national product that it has become?
Well, I think women's sports in general, all across the board, we've seen an increase in TV, in marketing, in social media, in coverage for women's sports all around the world. You look at the sellout crowd that Nebraska volleyball had this year, right? The growth of women's volleyball in general.
Crazy.
You got women's soccer and their pro league and the TV contract that they signed. How's women's soccer grown in this country? We have another second professional league in Athletes Unlimited, right? That goes on before the WNBA. The WNBA's growth and their collective bargaining agreement and their new TV deal. Then you look at professional soccer, women's soccer overseas, and those sellout crowds. Softball's also continuing a meteoric rise where look at the amount of TV games for softball, right, and their coverage. So it's not only women's basketball. You look at women's soccer and softball and volleyball and their growth. The next step for us is, we have some standout players that have shined in the NIL piece and the marketing of our game. The next part is we went to 68 teams in the NCAA tournament. The next growth for our game is shared revenue and units for women's basketball. When that happens, that's going to align itself where there's going to be more parity, right? There's going to be more investment in programs on every campus around the country. Because now athletic directors are going to go, hey, you know what? You make the NCAA tournament, you're going to get that unit for the next 5 years. Well, now you make it back to back. Now there's added revenue that's going to come in with campuses and also conferences too. So that's going to be the big game changer, where it's going to be on parallel with the men. Now it ain't going to be the same amount of unit that a men's basketball team gets, but we just signed look what we announced with the brand new TV deal over 10 years with ESPN and women's basketball. That's huge. So,
women's basketball can stand on its own.
Yeah.
It's an entity that drives economics, and this wasn't something maybe you could say when you started. So this thing has grown to this point.
It has grown. I think, we have value. Our game has value, and I think the market has shown that. And our fan base has shown that as well. And it goes on with the amount of coverage that our game has gained. There's a lot of traction going on. So we're on a good upward momentum, and I think there's a lot of work to still be done. But I like where we're headed.
Last summer, you received an honor being named Vice President of the WBCA. I'm sure some of the things you talked about just now in terms of the revenue issues are things that come across during that tenure. But tell us a little bit about that position, the opportunities, the challenges.
Yeah, I've always, have had the mindset of how can I give back to the game, and how can I assist future coaches in this game. It's funny, I'm watching the replay of our Tulsa game the other night, and they show a graphic that 5 former assistants are head coaches now. And I had 2 more, really 7, because they're both assistant coaches now, but also got head coaching positions. They're no longer, but that's 7 former assistants that were able to run their own programs. So I served in the capacity as a WBCA conference captain in Conference USA, in the Big East, and also the American. I was chair of the WBCA All-America Committee. I served on the Defensive Player of the Year Committee, also the Coach of the Year Committee, and then it got into now more on the executive branch of the WBCA, and it's a lot of work because we got the board of directors meetings, we have stewardship committee, and Daniel Donahue oversaw women's basketball in the Big East and transitioned into the American, and she became the executive director. So it's really great to be involved at the executive level of our Coaches Association, and to be in those conversations with the NCAA, and also some fellow coaches at the Division I level, at the Division II level, at the Division III level, at the junior college level, to have conversations on how we can make our game better, how we can make our Coaches Association stronger as well. So I think we're the voice of all coaches around the entire country and around the entire world. So I got 1 more year as a VP, and I guess I'll get the torch passed down for while the final 4 years in Tampa. But it's great to serve. It's great to give back. And I'm very fortunate to have that opportunity with the WBCA.
Coach, thank you. We're looking forward to senior night, March 2nd at Yingling. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys.
Head coach of the Bulls, Jose Fernandez. Stay with us. Much more to come on BullsEYE.
Lucas has just been an incredible asset to our basketball program, to our players individually, and our staff and our team as a whole.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you're helping the team.
So my role is in mental skills, leadership, and culture. And so my role in this group is getting to visit them and have conversations around how can they be the best team possible, and use those 3 things to get that.
Why do you think it's important to do this type of training?
Well, when I look at athletics, one of the questions we ask them is, so what % of your performance is mental? And most people say it's pretty high, sometimes over 80%. And then I'll ask them, so what are you doing to train that? Just like the offensive side, the defensive side. And what we want to do is make sure that there's a systematic way to train leadership, mindset, culture, because we all know they're important, but training them is a whole nother story. So what I hope is I get to bring in some structure of how do we train those 3 really important areas so that they can be their best when it matters most.
It influences a lot of our approach going into things. It's really good to take a step back and figure out what's going on, but also having a bigger picture, understanding of what other people are going through, and just what we need to be successful as a team and individually as leaders, and just helping each other out.
Developing the total student athlete, mentally, physically, and emotionally. But I think the biggest thing, and you talk about where our culture is and how we recruit to that culture, winning in the locker room and the best teams being player-led, and now all the different exercises that our veterans already lead before Lucas gets on campus. And then it's really just emphasizing different strategic ways to help our team and our individuals to be successful at the highest level.
What are some of the impacts that you've seen after this type of training?
Well, first off, I think it's really powerful that they get to hear and see a different side of their teammates. We believe that connected teams are powerful teams, and one of the ways to connect a team is help them to learn about each other. And so in our sessions, not only are we talking about how to perform better under pressure and things like that, but they're also sharing parts of their stories. And so I think when they leave these sessions, they reflect on it, but they also understand their teammates better. And then hopefully they're also learning some skills so that when tough moments show up, they can respond to them more effectively individually and as a team.
One of the biggest impacts was just how connected we are and intentional we are about being there for one another. That's when you're looking at doing it for the team, and it just like helps with everything overall.
When they play for one another, you got a special group.
Welcome back to BullsEYE. We are talking women's basketball as they get ready for the conference tournament. The big finish to the regular season is coming up with senior night being at the Yuengling Center on March 2nd against Tulane. And one of those seniors is with us now, guard Ariel Wilson. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I have watched women's basketball here for a long time. I have never seen a player take a charge the way you do.
Yeah.
You don't look, it doesn't look like it's part of your personality, but you step in and make that play repeatedly, and that's really part of your game. Tell us about the philosophy of that.
Well, I've had lots of practice over the years. I think it's actually something I've been good at from a young age. Just being able to read the defense. It's almost like you can tell exactly where they're going before they even get there. And that's just what I do. Slide my feet in, brace myself, and get ready to fall.
Ariel, as Jim mentioned, it's senior night, and you'll be out there saluted with your other seniors for your last home game. I don't know if you've thought about it yet, but what are the emotions of this for you to walk out there and be honored and look around and know this is it, last one?
Yeah. You kind of hit it on the head there with the emotions.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny because throughout the whole year, it's like your last first practice, your last time that you're going to be playing here, or it's going to be the last time I play in the Yuengling Center. So, I mean, the emotions have come and gone before this night has even reached us. So, I think obviously throughout the season, you're focused on the games, focused on getting wins. But I know that I might not say it now and I might not be emotional now, but when the lights come on and I'm walking out with my family and I'm seeing coaches and the girls, and it dawns on me that this really is my last time playing there, I know that the emotions are going to be running really high.
You came to the Bulls from Memphis. It wasn't that long ago that players didn't really transfer within the conference. Things are different now, of course.
Yeah.
And you and Dulcie came together from Memphis. I'm not sure Bulls fans understood at the time how much that decision was going to positively affect this program. How did that come about? How did you move from Memphis to Tampa within the conference?
Well, the thing about being within the same conference is that I got to play against them. And so I got to see what they were about, what they ran, how they played with one another, and I mean, those were all things I appreciated. I went to Memphis, and throughout that experience, I learned what I wanted, and USF had a lot of those qualities. So going from a basketball angle, what system I wanted to play in, I knew that I wanted to play for USF. And so when I went in the transfer portal, like those were some of the conversations I had, and when the opportunity came, I took it right away, because just watching them and playing against them, I knew that this was a place I wanted to be.
And Ariel, and speaking to you before about this, you mentioned when you transferred here, your first year here was, maybe didn't play as much as you thought you would. It was a big adjustment to this program and the expectations and Coach Jose. The second year, you took a huge jump. So the first year was like a learning year. What was it like to kind of, where the bar is high here to win, what was it like for you to adjust to this new place and to Coach Jose?
Well, I think if you look at my growth from my first year here to my second year here, that you can see exactly how high those standards are and the adjustments, like you said, and the growth in the player and the person that I've become, because it took a lot coming in and like starting every game at Memphis and then not starting and not really seeing a lot of minutes. And it just speaks volumes to what I had to learn to be the basketball player I am today and to play for this team. I think I've talked a lot about like year to year, like what I've learned exactly and just the pace of the game and the knowledge of the game. And I mean, defensively, offensively, you have to learn so many new concepts, but also like be able to bring them up like that. Like it's just such a fast-paced learning environment to really be at the next level. And so if I never came here, I never would have grown as much as I have. And I hope that goes back to answer your question, just like how big the transition is. And I hope that everyone that has been watching me throughout the years has been able to see that.
We've talked a lot over time about the makeup of this team, the international players on the team, and that includes you coming from Canada. When you first joined this team, was that an adjustment or was it something that you just kind of fell into? We've kind of marveled at how Coach Fernandez has brought these type of players from all over the globe together.
It's something I've appreciated from the very first moment. It's one of the first things that they want to mention to recruits is that we're very international, and I think that puts a lot of the international girls at ease, knowing that there's girls going through the same experiences as them, and that's what really helps build our team chemistry, is that we're from all over the place and we don't have family here, so we all lean on each other. And that's one of the beautiful things about being here, is that it is so diverse and you get to meet so many new people, and you have to embrace it. Like, you have no other choice but to embrace it, and it's one of the best things about this place.
As Jim mentioned earlier, one of the things you do really well is taking charges and getting yourself on the floor and being aggressive on defense. You're the point guard, so you set up other players primarily. You can score, but you're not asked to score a lot. And people tend to know first what people are scoring in the game, so it's their point average. That's not something that's maybe a big subject for you. So you can easily be way in the background for people. They might not notice you as much. What is it like for you to kind of have that role and thrive in that role when maybe you're not the guy that people talks about first?
That just comes back to who I am. I've always been someone that feels the best when other people succeed, and so the point guard role on this team, where I have to set up people, is perfect for me. I absolutely love it when my post players are doing great, my wings are doing great, like everything's just connecting, and I take a lot of pride in the small things that I do because that's what I'm good at. And so like you said, I might not contribute in a lot of other ways, but I know that I am impacting the game and that I have my teammates' respect and coaches' respect, and that means everything to me.
Ariel, thank you. Have a great senior night. Have a great conference tournament. A lot more basketball ahead at South Florida. We enjoy watching you play.
Thank you, Jim.
Point guard Ariel Wilson from USF Women's Basketball. Stay with us. We'll take a timeout, but much more to come when Bullseye continues.
There's no such thing as a favorite in my book. When you line up for a championship meet, everybody starts at the same number, and that's 0. So it's up to you to be able to go out and earn that championship.
We are almost guaranteed to crown a team that has never won an American Conference title before. We are definitely going to get a new conference champion from last year, and it's going to be a great weekend.
Coach has already stole one thing I always say. We don't need superhuman efforts. We just need to do what you've already done and try to improve on that, and you'll have a very successful meet.
We have the talent to do it. For the most part, we have the will to do it. But are you going to do it? Flat out, are you going to do it?
On the men's side, USF looks to be the heavy favorite. They're heavy in the sprints, hurdles, jumps, but they're pretty well rounded all around.
The men just really came to the meet with the mission of trying to do something that everybody else told us we couldn't do.
And well, he may take this thing. If it's a no height for Slinkman, this will be the 3rd attempt for Kobe Babin, and a big personal best for him.
Let's go! Last year, I did not do too good. I ended up no hiding last year, and so to bounce back from that and take home the championship and to win the event was just an amazing feeling.
And here is our podium, Kobe Babin of South Florida, his teammate Noah Bitter. 18 points out of those 2 men, mission success.
And nobody believes we can do it except for myself, my staff.
This is the second day of 2, all finals today. Glad to have you with us. Time now for the men's 400 meters. Again, it will be a 2-heat final. Prelims, Nathan Metellus of South Florida.
What was going through my head was just lock in, really focus on your own race. Don't worry about nobody else. Do what you have to do your part, play your part in the race.
Looking very smooth is Nathan Metellus. He was the third fastest qualifier a day ago. Propp into the lead, but now coming back very smoothly, but absolutely unreal running from Metellus.
And you see why on paper they are the favorites here in the conference to take their first ever American Conference title. That is how it's going to happen right there. Markel Jones, our fastest time qualifier with a 7.89, the former Florida State champion while at Lake Mary High School, now making an immediate impact as a freshman for South Florida.
Look at the men's high hurdle final. Navajo, Drew, Jenkins, Jones, Booth, Montgomery, Dorn, and Parrish.
Our main focus was getting out the blocks. So I was like, yeah, as long as I get a good block start, it'll be good.
White Jones now coming back, and it will be Markel Jones, 7.81, personal best for him. Another 10 points for the Bulls.
You know, Jaleel just keeps getting better. The one thing I like about Jaleel, he will compete.
Back from the final again last year, Jaleel Kroll of South Florida.
I've been working so long just for this moment.
Away, second time of asking. South Florida in the middle of the track, being challenged, Burris, but now in the middle, it's gonna be Jaleel Kroll, 8th a year ago, personal best 6.65. He takes the victory. Kroll, our winner in the 60 meters, is USF out in front. They're gonna pick up some big points here. The Bulls on paper had a lot of breathing room. We had them right at about 130 to 140 points.
My whole team was hyped. We were on the verge of winning the championship, and this was just the final lap, and I just locked in. I was in my zone. I was ready.
We knew that the points were high and we was gonna win as a team, but it feels a lot better to win as a team when the 4x4 is successful. So.
I was fatigued, and like you just gotta not talk to yourself, but you gotta talk with yourself, you know. So you just gotta push yourself to go like past your limits.
You gotta do it every time. Hey, that's history. That's history. All the way, boys. Standing on business.
Hold on, let me zoom in so y'all get the picture.
I think we ain't done yet. Hey, boy, it's been a long time coming, you feel me? We finally made history. Who was on top, man? Who was on top? Hey, come run with the Bulls, bro. Come run with the Bulls. Yeah. Yo, back to the wall.
Welcome back to BullsEYE. So much to look forward to this week. 2 senior nights for basketball. March 5th, the men play Tulane. Your last chance to see this special team in the Yuengling Center before they move on to the conference tournament and postseason. There are tickets available right now for that game, but Joey, people can't hesitate. I know some people that got closed out of SMU because they waited a little bit too long and then the game sold out.
Yeah, I remember before the FAU game, I was taking a walk around the neighborhood in the morning before coming out, and one of my neighbors followed me, was stalking me and was asking if I had tickets. I didn't, and he wasn't able to go, but he was able to go to the next game at SMU because he acted early, so I would tell fans to do the same thing. There's a buzz about this team. There's a lot of people that would love to see them play, that have seen this on television, seen this mad atmosphere in the Engling Center. They want to be part of it. So get your tickets now, because I have a feeling that Tulane game will be heavily attended and hopefully the third straight sellout.
March 5th, and of course the Bulls will play at Charlotte before that, and a win there will clinch the regular season conference championship for the Bulls. The second senior night of the week will be March 2nd, Saturday night, 7 o'clock in the Yuengling Center for the USF women, also against Tulane. It was great to hear from Jose Fernandez on the show today, Ariel Wilson as well. It's fascinating to hear about her journey from Memphis to Tampa and how her game developed over time.
Yeah, it really is, and I've had a chance to speak with her for some stories that I've done for our website, gousfbulls.com. Ariel's a really nice person and very articulate, and her jump from year one to year two is quite impressive, and she's so valuable to this team. And she just is really in touch with everybody on the court at all times, like a good point guard should be. Real asset to this whole program, and really appreciate everything that she has done. Looking forward to giving her a special salute on senior night, in addition to all the seniors that will be going out. A very emotional night, really a great night for basketball fans to kind of give that one last ovation to these players they've been watching for a few years.
Now, we've talked a lot about basketball on this show, and understandably so, but don't forget about baseball and softball. They've got a lot of home games coming up. Full schedules are on gousfbulls.com. We are also around the corner from spring football practice. We're going to be back to work with Alex Golish and crew before we know it. Crossover time, the spring. It's one of the best times of the year in college athletics.
Absolutely is. When the basketball teams are going to tournament, the baseball and softball teams are starting their season, and spring football, you can't ignore that with everything that happened last fall with the football team having a winning record, winning the bowl game. Expectations are very high. I know nationally there's a lot of people that are picking USF to do very well in the American, and I think fans are going to be really into it with all the new players, who's playing where, what the depth chart's looking like. We remember last year at Corbett Stadium, the great atmosphere that we had at the spring game. We're expecting the same thing this year. So by then, hopefully our basketball teams will have won conference titles, and we'll go on into March Madness, and then it'll be time to see what kind of football season we can look forward to next year. So a lot of good things going on, Jim, on this campus.
A renaissance in football and men's basketball, improvement in a lot of the other programs. A stadium on the way. You and I have been around here for a long time, and there have been ups and downs. There always are in every athletic program. This is an up like we've never seen before.
A great up, and I'm very happy for all the people that worked so hard in the athletic department, regardless of what's going on, and to see them get their reward of attention and popularity for these teams. I know, I wear my USF gear around all the time. I was in my grocery store the other day, just going in to pick up something quick, and I think it was like 3 people. Hey, go Bulls, go Bulls. It's like just people love a winner, and they know things are happening here, good things, and people tend to want to be involved in that kind of thing. So it's a great opportunity for all the people of Tampa Bay and all the fans to really latch on to this USF program and all the sports, because it looks like we're here to stay.
Well, men's basketball is in the top 25. Some could argue that could have happened a couple of weeks ago. It's taken a little bit of time. It's been so out of the blue this year. Nobody saw this coming. Do you think that's part of the reason why it's taking a little bit of time for acceptance on the national level? We're finally seeing it happen now, but that's after 21 wins.
Right, and I think you're right. I think the normal expectation for a first-year coach for the first year is to build to a certain level. You're looking at 500 kind of season would be great. Any kind of a sniff of a postseason would be wonderful, and then build from there. But it has come much quicker than anyone would have anticipated. And remember, this team was 2-4 a long time ago and playing at Florida State. So the outlook wasn't great at that moment, but they came out guns a-blazing against Florida State, and really, since that moment, have not looked back. And it's taken a while, but everybody from the national pundits to the local fans are on board now, and I think everybody knows this is a freight train running down the tracks. And you know, they have passed all challenges so far. And March Madness is just great when you've got a team actually involved in it. So you want to be part of this, because once your team gets into that kind of discussion, there's a few things that are more fun in sports to me.
Enjoy it, Bulls fans. A lot of good things coming up in the upcoming days and weeks. Thanks a lot for joining us today. It was a lot of fun to be here for me. Thank you, Joey.
Absolutely.
Derek will be back. Kaylee will be back. And we hope you'll continue to join us on BullsEYE.